Here's the story of why I'm a Christmas Scrooge. My mom married my stepdad when I was 5, right after my 5th birthday. And I went from living in a house with my mom, her sister, and I think 4 cousins, to living in a house with my mom, my stepdad, and his 5 kids. So the amount of people wasn't a big deal. The privacy changed, however. It was weird. Anyways, it was okay. The first Christmas was fine. We received gifts, a lot of little things. We always received little things. Coloring books, things that we would actually use and put our hands on, consume, and I guess eventually throw away. Because we didn't have a lot of money. It's Christmas season, and I'm in bed. And I remember my parents talking about Santa Claus and the chimney. And they were having this big dramatic conversation about us not having a chimney, and oh no, how is Santa Claus gonna get in? I was a quiet kid, so I just listened to the conversation, had a couple of thoughts about it, and went to bed. And then fast forward to Christmas Eve, I remember just so much noise. And we didn't have a chimney, but we had a trap door in the ceiling that led to the attic. And it was outside of me and my sister's bedroom door. And Daddy was yelling, I got you. And he had the vacuum up in his hole, trying to vacuum Santa down the little attic trap door. And so now, as a good kid who knew that they had to be asleep, can't witness this firsthand, you have to be asleep. I'm laying there with my eyes pinched shut, listening to Daddy and Santa trying to get through this trap door on the 2nd floor of our house outside of my bedroom. And it was just, I wish I could remember it better, but understand I was 6 and I am 56. So this was a long behind time ago. So they made all this racket and they had me like, I was on board, and that was dramatic. I believed in Santa. Nobody's business. You couldn't tell me nothing. Santa was real. My new dad had sucked Santa down the trap door because we didn't have a chimney. Interestingly, we had a fake fireplace in the living room, so I don't know why he went through so many gyrations is beyond me, but that's how we did. That's what we did. That's how Daddy got me hooked on Santa Claus. Fortunately, and I don't know that some people will think that this wasn't as fortunate, but fortunately we were also Catholic. And we were in Catholic school, so it was 2nd grade. I was 7. And there's a story as to why I moved from public to Catholic. So anyway, it was 2nd grade. And we were in the Catholic school choir, we sang Latin, and we got to sing the Christmas masses. And as much as I believed in Santa, I was super in love with the rituals of Christmas, the church rituals, the masses. I loved every about it. So fast forward 2 years, and I'm still believing in Santa Claus. I'm in 4th grade. I was all in. Daddy put a big effort into it, and I was a believer. And we had moved from the big house we were in into an apartment because times got hard. And my baby brother had gotten lead poisoning in the house that we were in. So we had to move to an apartment. And Mom called me and my brother, who's my age, my stepbrother, who's my age, into the living room. And I think Daddy was in on this conversation, or Daddy was sitting quietly through this conversation, because I don't remember him speaking. But the conversation went thusly: there's no such thing as Santa Claus. However, you have to pretend that you believe in Santa Claus for your younger brothers. We don't have a lot of money this year, and so the babies who were, I guess, under 5 at that time are going to get gifts, and everyone else is going to get a little bit of something. So, Merry Christmas. And it was at that moment that my Grinch heart shrunk 2 sizes. You know what I'm saying? I was appalled. I was disgusted that they had gone through the gyrations they had gone through to get me to believe, only to pull that plug before I was ready. Not believe. It was rough for me. And I was jealous and I was angry and I was a kid. And so, fortunately, I had the Christian side of Christmas to console me because I loved it more than anything. So while I'm not a fan of Christmas, it is the commercial side of Christmas that I could just as soon do completely without. I continue to live my life loving Christmas Mass, loving Advent, and celebrating Christmas from a Christian perspective. And as I grew into adulthood, that just never changed for me. I remember being in college and my roommate and I ran into a mall Santa, and he offered for me to sit on his lap, and I snatched his candy cane and said something rude. I don't remember what it was, but he was appalled, and my roommate was appalled. She sat on his lap and humored him. First of all, sir, I'm not sitting on your lap. Second of all, give me the candy and go away. I've just behaved that way when it comes to Christmas. Most people believe that the reason I dislike Christmas is that my mother died on Christmas Day. And if anything, that made me appreciate Christmas a little more. Wait for it. That sounded horrible. She had had cancer when I was in college, and then she had had cancer again. She contracted cancer again when I was pregnant with my daughter, my youngest. And she just kept saying, I just want to see one more Christmas. And so when the phone rang at 5:30 a.m., I knew it was the hospital to tell me she had passed. And that gave me an appreciation for my mother's will and Christmas there. And then my kids hit school age, and I was never going to participate in a lie. I just wasn't going to do it. The words Santa Claus were never said in my house by me or my husband. Christmas, here's some great gifts, yada yada. You know, lean more toward the Christian perspective of Christmas. Yeah, we treat. Some you just did a candle depending on where we were. If we often ended up moving at Christmas time. So if we were in a moving season, we just did like a candle, a wreath, and stuff like that. But you know, we did gifts, whatever. So then I think my daughter was in kindergarten, which meant my son was in second grade. And they came into the home office, and this was before we started homeschooling. They came into the home office. He had her by her little hand, and he was like, explain to us what the deal is with Santa. Because all of our friends are talking about Santa, and you're not talking about Santa. Is Santa not real? And I said, nope, he isn't. But let me explain. And so I gave him the story of Kris Kringle, St. Nick. You know, the man who in his village would go around and give people gifts. And I explained that the reason people believe in or celebrate Christmas in that way is because it's in the spirit of Santa Claus, the spirit of giving to people who may not have. And so we let people believe what they're going to believe because some truth in it, because it's the whole spirit of Santa Claus. And so when we give to children and tell them it's from Santa, it's so that we're not personally taking credit for it, but they're getting, you know, since it's a magical component to it. And so my mother was my mother. She is my mother spirit. And so my daughter said, oh, Santa's dead. And I looked at her and I said, yes. Because he was a real person, did real things, and he died, and people picked up the mantle and kept it going. And she went to the public school the next day and announced to the entire class that Santa was dead. That did not go well for her. That did not go well for me. My child was told that she's a liar, and so is your mother. And if the teacher wasn't already mean to her, she was mean to her for a while after that. And that kind of what led to us homeschooling eventually. So, yeah. Until next time.